How's it going, backpackers? Dave here with another edition of Off Grid. I'm into backpacking, hiking, camping, and gear. And if you like those things too, please consider subscribing to the channel down below, hitting that bell notification and that like button. All those things help out the channel, and I really appreciate it. Today we've got part 3. I know I've sort of promised a 3-parter for you guys, or at least a 3-parter, and then into the future. I'm rambling too much already. This is part 3 of backpacking hacks and pro tips. This one has been a little time coming. I actually have this one ready, but have been shooting a bunch of other videos for you guys in between. And basically what this playlist is, you can go and check out the first 2 videos, but it's really just an ongoing series on different tips that I've picked up along the way and would like to share with you guys. So let's just jump right into the 5 that I have for you today. The first of which is to wear water socks for river crossings. And I'm looking around here. I do have them, so let me grab them real quick. All right, here they are. This is a brand that is a knockoff from the sealskin variety. This is called Randy Sun. I actually recently highlighted this in my new gear for 2023, and I said it's actually not new. I think I've actually mentioned this in videos in the past. However, I ended up lending these socks to a couple buddies on a recent hike that I took, and I just had them keep it. So I ended up getting a new pair, but they loved it so much, and I decided to just get a new pair for myself. But you definitely want to protect your feet and protect your legs, especially if you are doing a lot of river crossings or stream crossings when you're out there. It's really important to take care of your feet. I know that's sort of like a Forrest Gump line to throw in there, but it is super important. You don't want to have your feet waterlogged. In the past, I was going with a water shoe with like no sock on, but if you have to do multiple stream crossings throughout the day, that can get kind of cumbersome, having to take off your shoe constantly, use a towel to dry it off, and then, you know, put your socks back on and your trail runners back on, and then, you know, you hit another one like a few minutes later and you have to do the whole thing all over again. So if you know that you're going to be doing a lot of stream crossings throughout the day, just definitely slap on a pair of these. You can wear them with your normal trail runner or boot anyway, and just dunk the whole thing, and you'll be fine. You'll be completely dry. The only other pro tip that I'd say in conjunction with this one would be to possibly wear a sock liner with this, because it is made of sort of like a rubberized material. If you're doing a bunch of miles throughout the day, then blisters might creep back in. But first tip is to have some sort of sealskin or rubberized sock for those river crossings. All right, tip number 2 here is sort of going along with those water crossings, but and this is one I can't really stake claim to this one. I heard this from my buddy Jeremiah over at Jeremiah Stringer Hikes, and I thought it was really good, so I have to include it on this one too, because I think everybody should know about this one. If you are doing particularly deeper water crossing stuff that is getting close to like waist high or potentially higher, you're getting into more dangerous situations, right? But if that's really your only option, you can't really get around it in a safe way, then a good tip there is to unbuckle your pack if you have your backpack on, up here at the sternum strap and then down at the waist as well. And that's just a good tip, because if you end up falling over and you have 20 plus pounds in your backpack, then you don't have to struggle with that, especially if your head starts to go underwater, to try and get that off of you and then try to scramble to safety. So if you have something like that where you can just easily get out of it, I know you've got a lot of time and money and sweat and energy and tears invested in all the gear that's in your pack, but you know, when it comes right down to it, you want to be safe when you're out there, and that's just an easy way to get yourself out of a sticky spot really quickly. So that's going to be tip number 2. Just unbuckle your backpack if you're going into particularly deeper water crossings. All right, tip number 3 here, and we're just kind of like cruising right along, and this is sort of another like 2-parter here, but the first one is to have some sort of sponge, towel, a sill sink, some soap. If you want to stay cleaner when you're out there and when you're out on trail, and you don't have to bring a billion of those wet wipes, those can get heavy. If you get the dehydrated Wissy Wipe brand or any other type of dehydrated towel, same thing. it just creates a lot of waste. You're not really getting the stink off you that much anyway, but if you want to stay cleaner when you're on trail, especially this is more so geared towards like multi-day hikes and trips out into the backcountry, bring something like that. There's a little bottle of Dr. Bronner's that you can use. I did a video on this as well that you can check out. But for not that many ounces, you can end up being really clean when you're on trail. You can get a larger towel that's only a couple ounces. That Dr. Bronner's soap is only a couple ounces. This weighs like less than an ounce too. You can use this to kind of scrub up and really get that stink off of you. So that would be tip number 3, is to just bring some stuff so you can stay a little bit cleaner on trail if you care about that. I know a lot of people don't, but I personally do. So for those longer treks when I'm out there, I definitely like to bring something to kind of just like hose myself down. Going along with that, tip number 4 for today is going to be to bring yet another sponge, not the same one that you use on yourself, but bring another one of these chamois type of sponges, and this one kind of looks worse for wear already. But this one's going to be to, and don't get them mixed up either, but this one's going to be to wipe down all the condensation from the inside of your tent, particularly if you have a single wall shelter tent. I know my Gossamer Gear, the One, is just a huge trapper of all of that condensation from my breath at night. So depending on the conditions, you might have a lot of that buildup, not only on the inside, but also on the outside of your tent. And just having one of these helps to collect a lot of that water weight. These are super absorbent. They collect all of that water, and you can just wring it out and do it again. So it's really just a thinner version of a sponge that you can wring out and use time and time again. Definitely helps out and really depends on the type of material that's on your tent as well. It doesn't really matter what tent you have. Almost all of them are susceptible to some form of condensation. So being able to get that off of your tent means that you don't have to carry it in your backpack throughout the day. And it also means that it's going to be a little bit easier to dry out, take a little bit less time to dry out if you're caught in a rainstorm at night and you have to dry it out the next day. So that's tip number 4. Just pack a couple of those chamois, one for cleaning yourself off and one for getting rid of that condensation during the day. And the last one that I have for you guys today, this is going to be a really short video, which is awesome because I tend to drone on quite a lot. But breezing through these, the last one that I have for you today is in regards to when you're done at night. So you've done all your camp chores, everything is done, and maybe you're out there during early spring, late fall, or the winter months where there's not a lot of sunlight and you're going to end up spending a lot of time in your tent. This is a tip for that, and that's basically to say, make sure that if you like to watch movies when you're in your tent at night, that you download your favorite shows or your movies onto your cell phone or some other type of device that you bring with you to view that stuff. And then sort of going along with that, if you're not really into that and you want to keep it more rustic, maybe you like to read when you're out there, bring a book or possibly bring a Kindle. Or if you're into journaling, bring a little journal to write with, and obviously a pen or a pencil. All those different things could be activities that you do. There are games that you can bring if you're with a group. Actually, Melissa the Unlikely Hiker recently did a holiday gift guide where she mentioned different types of like mini games, so you don't have to bring like the big versions of them. I highly recommend that video. Check that one out too. So that's a shout out to you, Melissa. But all those different things, especially like if you're going to be spending more time in your tent at night, you have to think about like how to fill out the rest of those hours, because you're not necessarily going to be sleeping for 12 plus hours. Maybe you can, but I can't anymore. So definitely think about different things that you can do when you're in your tent at night, or maybe in the early morning before everybody else gets up and before you start your day. So that's it. That's going to wrap up part 3 of my backpacking hacks and pro tips. There are going to be more videos in the future. I'm probably going to take a little bit of break from this series, but the reason why I create playlists is so that I can revisit them and continually add to them over time. So if you see a playlist on my channel, then that basically means that I'm going to be adding videos to them over time as I keep creating videos for you guys. But let me know what you think about these particular tips in the comments down below. Let's get the discussion started. I really like interacting with the community, not only the other YouTube creators, but also any of the followers and viewers that are out there as well. So that's going to do it. That's going to wrap this one up. Thanks so much for watching this week, guys. And remember, if you're headed off grid, make sure you do your research and you make it a safe one. I'll see you on the next one. All right, tip number 3, we're kind of just cruising right along here. And it is going to be to make sure I have my stuff ready, because I never have it ready. Thought processes when you're out there. So I keep saying when you're out there. I don't know why I keep saying that. We recognize this as well, folks. We YouTube creators and content creators understand this when we're trying to create these videos.